shall move. Arms up, body, soul, Sabat. Soul, Sabat.
You've never seen anything like this for cataracts, diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, glaucoma, or blurred
vision.
Well back, Moisar. Rahubat. We are back. We are here in the house. Another week, another day of Wu-Sabat. You know, so much to cover today. And very important information, I guess I would say, that we got to cover. But we're back. We will always be back. This is our job. You know, this is what we do. And I appreciate all of you guys. You know, again, I thank you all for your support. Those who check us out live, as well as those who check out the recordings. You know, we always saying, spread the word, let everyone know what we're doing. The power of Wu-Sabat. Do not keep it to yourself. Spread the word. People need to know that we're the ones with the solutions, right? We're the ones with the right knowledge to the problems that we're dealing with on the planet. And so we've dedicated ourselves here at NoopooH YouTube channel to spreading that good news, doing the work that the master teacher has charged us with, to spread this information. You know, we're here every week. At least we try to be, right? Every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. sharp, where we do what we do. You know, we do what we have to do. And we just pray that our work is, you know, the work that we're doing is helping. You know, that's all we can ask for is that the efforts we put in every week, it helps, you know, that it assists people in their development, on their journey. All of us are on our own personal journey of development, you know, and we do our best to assist, you know, everyone. So again, as we always say, spread the word. Let people know we're here every week, 7 p.m., 9 p.m. We're the ones with the actual facts. We're the ones with the solution. Anyone who takes the time to study our work will see that. And as we say, you know, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep doing what we're doing until the mission is completed, until we're liberated as a people. That's our goal. This is our objective. But all that being said, for those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Re'e, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Padabab Yunanin, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nawab, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound, right, reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutwi. In essence, our culture is about being in harmony with natural nature. Our culture is about being in harmony with natural nature. Today they call it animism, you know. And we argue that the suffering that our people are dealing with around the globe is due to the fact that we've gotten away from our original way of doing things, our original cultures, and we have become influenced by foreigners. And we have been subjugated to ignorance and despair for 6,000 years. And we really have been catching hell for the last 500 years under racism, white supremacy. The world over, all woolly-haired people are struggling with these issues. And Wu-Sabat is the solution. We have been making this clear, the master teacher, since the 60s. The challenge is we unfortunately have become addicted to European and Western culture, and it's hard for us to see out of this system. But for those who are diligent students, for those who take the time to develop themselves, for those who take the time to study what we're teaching, they will clearly see that this is the solution. This is the way, as we say, patara, the way, our way. And our way is being in harmony and living according to the principles of nature, as opposed to Western culture is just the opposite. It's adverse. And that adversity to nature is what's causing all the problems and all the suffering that we all experience on the planet. So, with all that being said, I hope that, people will eventually catch on and they'll see why this is so crucial for all of us. Now, for those who know, our culture is based on spiritual development, right? And every week we go through we do our spiritual systems. We open up, first of all, with namaz. We call namaz as prayer. Prayers for one spiritual edification, one spiritual development. Okay. And we always say our prayers or namaz in our Lahaj language called Sabat. And we ask all to follow along. You have the English translation for those who do not know it yet. So, you could go along in the English translation until you learn to speak the language of tones, right? Sabat. This is key. Alrighty then. So let's get started. Pasawa Wu-Pa-Tara. Panen Safa Kawun. Pasawa Wu-Pa-Tara. Z Kawuna Nazula Laha Ankun. Manan Sabat Wu-Sa'ad. Amah Hadayan Un Shafe'un. Manan Salafu Wunataru. Aju Layan Nafasukum. Afuk Shane Kawun Kuma. Pasawa Wu-Pa-Tara. This book is the truth in the way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu-Sa'ad, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing from your ancestors and overseers. Return to your own. Accept what is yours, the truth and the way. And nun tawa ankum laha panan shafe'un wu alaj. And nun tawa ankum laha nasuinun. And nun tawa ankum laha ashuk. Ankum at the salafunun. Anun at the kharat ukum. Anum talub nasakuma. Anum talub nasakuma. And so nun sayim nataru. And so nun salafunun. Anun at the munwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for Ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Muspa'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Agenda 4. Alrighty then. Let's see. As we always do every week, we go over the core principles of Wu-Sabat, Wu-Nawat, right? For those who may not be familiar with the culture, and for those who are familiar with the culture, our culture is based around these our culture is based around these key principles. Why we go over it? Because our discussions are centered around these core principles, so that one can implement these principles into their acts and deeds, so that it becomes a part of your day-to-day livelihood. This is what it's about: living a culture of Wu-Sabat to implement the core principles into your actions. You know, your life. This is how you're going to see the positive change. This is how you're going to experience the power of Wu-Sabat. How can you experience the power of Wu-Sabat if you don't apply it in your day-to-day action and deeds? I repeat, how can you experience the power of Wu-Sabat if you do not apply it? This is why we're dedicated to doing what we're doing every week to help individuals comprehend the significance of these principles. So we go over these discussions constantly, helping, doing our best that we can to help the listener understand the importance and powers of embracing the culture of Wu-Sabat. And this is also why we charge everyone, guys, spread the word. Let people know what we're doing. It will make a difference. It really will. And as we say, each one teach one. Now, principle number 1 is Ashak. Ashak stands for the power of love, right? You're not going to get anything worthwhile done without being in the power of love. And we did a discussion on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 2 is resurrection, to become goddesses and gods once again by learning to open your third eye. As our ancestors once did prior to 6,000 years ago, they were spiritually in tune, and we're not. This is what today's discussion is going to be about. Again, hopefully in more details. Hopefully it'll be edifying, so pay attention, right? And check out the lecture we did on resurrection, guys. Watch the lectures again. I'm always telling you guys, keep rewatching them. Keep this data in your mind so that you get to the point where you know it inside and out. Principle number 3 is the wisdom of the Hutri and the principles of Ma'at. The Hutri stands for your divine mind, and Ma'at stands for order. We did a discussion on that, so definitely check that lecture out, right? Principle number 4 is relationships. As a melanated people, woolly-haired people, African people, Native American people, we live of, for, and by each other, right? We were a tribal people, community people, a nation of people. Under Western culture, we're now all individuals. And that's why we're suffering. Relationships is key, family. Relationships is key. Let's get back to it. Check out the lecture we did on that as well. Principle number 5 is morphic resonance / matrix. Morphic resonances deals with sounds, tones, vibrations, frequencies, right? And matrices are the manifestations of those sounds, tones, colors, vibrations, and frequencies. Principle number 6 is Leviathan. Leviathan, as you all know, this is what we've been at war with. These are the adverse spirit forces. Leviathan equals moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. We did a lecture on that. So check it out. Principle number 7 is soul / spirit. Your soul is your emotional force. Your spirit is your life force. We did a discussion on that, so check it out. Principle number 8 is health, right? The first key to health is a positive mind. As melanated people, we need a lot of sunlight. Water, the body is at least 70% water. Fasting, we recommend at least once or twice a week. The herbal diet, as Dr. Sabi's taught us. Exercise, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chanting. As we always say every week, health is not just what you do physically, but it's also what you do spiritually. Health is not what you do just physically, but it's also what you do spiritually. If you want to have balanced health, the body, everything is based on balance, which is ma'at. You have to balance out everything. When you neglect that, you become imbalanced. When you're imbalanced, this is why we suffer. This is where the disease is coming in, because we have an imbalancement in our health practices. And principle number 9 is acknowledgement of the creative force. Then you have the SMAT circle. The creative force is based on perpetual cycles. And the actual creation energy, we call it achach. It stands or translates to ether. We say achach, which is the creation energy of existence. That's the word our ancestors used, achach. Now, as Sabians, we have 3 primary goals. Goal number 1 is to raise the self. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia, right? And goal number 1 in raising the self as a Christian is teaching. You must be born again, giving up the culture, Western culture, embrace the culture Wu-Sabat. Giving up the culture, Western culture, to embrace the culture Wu-Sabat. This is the only way you're going to grow, family. You know, half in it is not going to work. You can't half do their stuff and half do our stuff. Keep in mind, let me explain. The reason why is because their culture, the behaviors, the things we do, it keeps your vibration low. Wu-Sabat is how you're going to elevate your vibration. That's how you're going to transcend into the other realms. That's why this is important. You have to give up the old so that you can embrace the new, a Wu-Sabat. A part of that process is correcting your names, right, guys? Give up those foreign names. Give up those foreign names. Your names are tones. Names are tones. It links you to their spirit forces, their adverse forces. Every force that has that name, that's a tone, that's a vibration. And every time someone calls you your name, Paul, every time someone calls your name, Christine, every Christine, living and dead, that's a tone. Here's that name. And those forces are attracted to you. So if you keep running around with foreigners' names, guys, because you lost your spiritual insight, you don't realize you're being possessed by these lower forces because you're attracting those tones. Correct how you look and dress, right? Cultural clothing. That doesn't mean you don't wear Western clothing. You know, we still work out in the world, so that's understandable. But also begin to identify with your cultural clothing when time permits. Learn to speak Sabaic tones. The key to language is tones, family. You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skills. This is how you're going to be the better you by making better decisions. You can only make the right knowledge decisions if you have the right knowledge. You can only have the right knowledge by studying the doctrine consistently and applying it. You must practice and master our daily rituals to turn yourself inside out. What's the point if you don't open your third eye? What's the point if you don't make spiritual connections? What's the point if you don't learn to raise your vibration so you can transcend this realm? What's the point? And in order to do any of this, you must be positive, family. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan, right? This is what we're at war with, a perpetual war with Leviathan. Those are the lower forces. And in this war, a part of this fight is working to free Patabat United, right? Promoting Wu-Sabat, become a student teacher, and fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which is our people's ignorance, the fear that we're dealing with, the ego we're obsessed with, our angers, our lust/desires, and lies/deceptions. This is what feeds the forces of Leviathan, this behavior pattern. This is what's keeping all of our vibrations low because we're feeding that energy. Let's conquer it. And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia. Guys, we got to get our own land back so we can live our culture. It's very difficult living Wu-Sabat under the foreigners' ways. It's damn near impossible, you know? So we must work to support each other in business. Support, guys, don't forget, NoopooCC.com support. We need to support the members. We need the member support. It's only what, $19.99 a year. We need to start supporting each other in business, guys. Help each other reach positive goals. We need to help build our culture. We must set up a landing zone for Pana Thought in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. Ashuk is the key to accomplish all our goals. What does it mean to be a Sabian? A Sabian is someone who is thoughtful and cares, someone who is helpful and honest, someone who is responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice and honorable, someone who is righteous and humble, someone who is excited and cheerful, someone who is loving and peaceful, someone who is kind and considerate, and someone who is neat, clean, and orderly. This is what our culture is about. All of those principles, right? Now, our purpose is liberation from adverse forces. This is why we do what we do. We must get liberated, right? One, we must take action each and every day to free ourselves of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which include Black people who are possessed by these spirit forces. I mean, guys, you want to help your people, but some of our people is very difficult to deal with because they're ruled by those lower forces. So it's best not to be around them. Number 2, acknowledge and fight 6 ether from promoting capitalism, the gay agenda, miscegenation, the so-called equality of the races, and racism, white supremacy. 3, learn, live by, and promote the rules/laws of natural nature, and each one teach one, family. Word of advice, do not judge this doctrine by watching the behavior pattern about Yanana nor his students. Judge this doctrine by the effectiveness of the information, aka information, that you personally put to practical use. Wu-Sabat is about being responsible, right, guys? Wu-Sabat is about being responsible. That's why we say that. Don't be looking at no one else. Look at you in the mirror. You're responsible for you. Somebody is doing bad. You're responsible to do good. Don't let no one else take you off the path of righteousness, no matter who it is. You're responsible for you. This doctrine is based on self-authentication. Know that we're not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there is a meeting of the minds between the teacher and the student, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to the problems, guys. We eventually have to have a meeting of the minds. How else are we going to work together? I can't do it by myself. No one can do this by ourselves, working, fighting for liberation. This is a group effort, family. Quote, what you do for yourself in kind depends on what you think of yourself in kind. And what you think of yourself in kind depends on what you know of yourself in kind. And what you know of yourself in kind depends on what you was taught and by whom of yourself in kind. Quote, until the lion has their historians, the hunter will always be the hero. Last, the negative mind talks of what it can't and will not do for self and kind, always complaining about who they don't like or trust, whereas the positive mind always maintains the peace by not complaining about that in which they do not like, but focus on finding solutions to their problems, never allowing obstacles to get in their way of growth. Alrighty then. Okay. So today's discussion is the spiritual realm and the spiritual you. This is what we're going to talk about, the spiritual realm and the spiritual you. So it's a lot we have to go over with this topic. And the master teacher has put out so much information on this particular topic. And I think the first, let's see. Yeah. When we're dealing with the spiritual realms, okay, there's a couple things we need to know. So I have this particular book. This is the actual facts number 17, emotional energy. We went over this particular book once before. And there's some very key important things that we need to understand when we're talking about the spiritual realm. And so I want to address it in this book to keep certain things in mind. There's a key word that this book uses, and this key word is called nutational rate. Nutational rate. Okay? Very important. There are 9 nutational rates. Now, why is that important? Because the nutational rate is what distinguishes one realm from the other realm. So when we're talking about spiritual realms, the way you go from one realm to another realm is by altering your nutational rate, meaning you transcending from one nutational rate to the next. So, for instance, we're on what we call the material realm or the physical realm. The physical realm, material realm, has its own nutational rate. Okay. Now, in order to transcend to the next realm, you change nutational rate, and the next round would be the plane of force, and that has its own nutational rate. And then the next round from the plane of force would be called the spiritual plane, and that has its own nutational rate. And then the next realm after that, from the spiritual plane is called the mental plane, and it has its nutational rate. Now, the mental plane is key because the mental plane is how you get out of here, out of this realm, earth realm. So here's the diagram. I've spoke on this before. In the center of this diagram is the planet Earth, and that's the material realm. And so what happens is, as you see these circles within circles, okay? And so what happens is you have one, it's number from 1, 2, 3, 4, because each of these numbers is what we call a spiritual gate. And you're going through these spiritual gates to get to the 9th gate. And once you get to the 9th gate, now you're dealing with the mental realm. Once you get past, once you're able to get past there, you're moving into the mental realm, which is the 4th nutational rate. Okay? It's important to know this. So what happens between the material realm with us on Earth and between the mental realm to leave this realm, you have the plane of force. That's a different realm. And then you have the spiritual plane. All of them have different nutational rates. Now here's the key. You are vibrating on all of these different nutational rates at the same time. Okay? All of us are connected to all of these different nutational rates at the same time. The problem is the human being is not aware that they're connected to these realms, but you are connected to them. And the problem is you're not aware of it. Why? Because of the spiritual awareness. We've lost our spiritual awareness. So you're connected to it, but you're not aware of it. You're connected to it, but you're not aware of it. You're connected to it, but you're not aware of it. That goes into the quote in the Bible. What's that? John, the book of John, chapter 1 quote. What does it say? You know what? Let me go to that quote because it's a good quote. And we'll read it. Let's see. King James Version, John, chapter 1. And let's see. Okay, so it says, in the beginning was the Word, right? And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. The Word, this is the spoken word. It's a tone. When they say word, they're really talking about tone. Again, this is information they got from ancient Kemet that they plagiarized, but whatever. Because it talked about the deity Tahuti. He initiated the spoken word of creation. That's where to get it from, guys. If you study the creation story of the Khamunu, there was a city or nome. They called it a nome in Kemet called Khamunu. Okay, and in that particular city, the deity, the patron deity, was Dahutwi. Okay, and Dahutwi was also a creation deity, because Dahutwi represented the mind, the mental mind. And so it said that Dahutwi, by way of the spoken word, brought forth creation. It also talks about this in what they call the Memphite theology with the deity Ptah. Same thing in Memphis. That's another city in ancient Kemet that talked about creation came about by a spoken word. So this is where the Romans got it from to put it in the Bible. Just so you know, for those who don't know. But let's keep going. Then it goes on to say, the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So I'm about this tone, this creation energy. In him, here's a key. In him was life. The creation energy is life, right? The creation energy is life. That life is Ach, or we call Sekim. That's the life force. Okay? In him was life. And the life was the light of men. So this life force was that the light of men. This is what light gives men light, or their essence, or your livelihood. Is this light force, this life that is a light force within the human body. It's in you. And the light, which is the Sechem, shineth in the darkness. The darkness is your body. It's shining. It's inside you. You are a spirit being. You are not just physical. You're also spiritual. You're not just physical. You're also spiritual. So it says, and the light, this energy, this ether energy shines in the darkness. The darkness is your body, and the darkness comprehended it not. We don't realize you don't realize the spirit in you. We've lost our spiritual knowledge and insight. And this is why we're not in tune with the spiritual realm. So I'm always showing you guys that what's that movie, Doctor Strange. I'm not going to play it because they'll cut the video. But let's see the clip right here. So you see, here's Doctor Strange, his physical body, and then his separate is his spiritual body. And so we've talked about this many times before, but what's the problem? The problem is that spirit is in your body, but the body, us, we comprehend it not. We're not in tune with our spiritual self. So this is the key. How do we get in tune with our spiritual self so that we can be in tune with the spiritual realms? What's the point of learning all this information if you're not going to be in tune? Constantly in tune. This is the whole goal of Wu-Sabat, to be in tune with both realms. They talk about it in the Bible. That's why they said Jesus was caught up in two realms. That's what they meant. He was in tune with the material realm, and he was in tune with the spiritual realm at all times. Not sometime, all the time. So the goal is to learn to be in tune. So that's what we're talking about here. So you got to be aware of the what? You have to be aware of the different spiritual realms. So let's go back to the actual facts, which is this is the actual facts of emotional energy. I was talking about when it's talking about the nutational rate, right? So it says, let me read here. Energy can be changed into matter and vice versa, right? So energy can be changed into matter and vice versa. Your body is made of matter. And because your body is made of matter, it can be turned into energy. Well, how do you know that? Because the body comes from energy. The matter comes from energy. Your body is made of what? Cells, molecules, which is made of elements. What is elements made of? The element is made of electron, proton, neutron. The electron is energy. You know, that's why your body gets hot. When you get hot, that's the electron flow. Right? When you're doing a workout, everybody, you working out, exercising, and your body starts getting hot. That's because the movement, it stimulates electron flow in the body, and that generates heat. And this is the essence of your spiritual self, meaning that your spiritual self is vibrating at a higher density than the electron. So you're in tune with the heat of the body, but you're not in tune with the essence that heat comes from, which is the spirit. The spirit part of you is made of or ether. And ether, when it drops down in vibration, it turns into the electron. And when the electron drops down into vibration, it turns into the elements that you see on a periodic table. The first element being hydrogen. And those elements, they drop down in vibration and they fuse together to create molecules. That's what water is. Water is a molecule made of two elements. Water is made of the hydrogen element, and water is made of the oxygen element, fusing together to create the liquid. And as the elements drop in vibration even further, they turn into a solid. And this is how you have solid matter, as elements fusing together to create more complex molecules. And as molecules come together and fuse together, they drop in vibration and create cells. And this is the manifestation of life forms from cellular life. I hope you're following me. I hope you guys are following me. I hope you get this. Rewind the tape, listen to it again as many times as you need, but you have to understand the essence of yourself. in order to, so that you can be in tune with your spiritual body. Guys, we have to get in tune with our spiritual body. How else are you going to connect with the spiritual realms? How else are you going to leave this realm? This is the only, you have to have this knowledge in order to get through the gate, to get out of this realm. The earth realm, this is, guys, you know this is a prison planet. This is a planet for low dimensional beings. And the only reason why you get stuck on a planet like this is because you're vibrating at a very low density. And you're bound to the material realm. All of us are. And the master teacher came specifically to teach us how to transcend this realm, so that you can move into higher realms of existence. But you cannot go into the other realms of existence until you're in tune with your spiritual self and you're in control of your spiritual self. You can't be ignorant of that part of yourself. Western culture makes you ignorant, because Western culture don't teach you nothing about your spiritual nature. They don't even acknowledge it exists. And that's done on purpose. They're not going to do this. So, you know, the point of our discussions here is to get this knowledge, right? we have to understand this reality. So let's go back. So let's see. So now we're talking about the nutational rates, right? And I want to go into some areas here. Now, again, I forget what video, but I did a video just on this particular book. I highly recommend going back to listen to the details of me going through this particular information. But I'm going to go through some of the stuff here again. Let's see. So he says here, so now Nuwapians, that you have a clear understanding of inanimate and animate physical world. Let us talk about the phenomena of living things now in relative simple terms. As you know, there are 7 abodes of existence spoken about, and 2 which they dare not speak about, making it 9 abodes in all. We will begin with this known universe, the material plane of things and physical plane of beings living. Both are, in fact, one abode, just vibrating on higher and lower rates. We call them per act, or abodes, or planes, or realms. Okay? So, guys, we're talking about the physical plane. That's important to understand, right? So now when you're looking at the SMAT circle we talk about a lot, we're on the bottom at 3 ether realm, moving into a 4 ether realm, meaning the earth is raising in its vibration. So for anyone who's going to survive on earth as it's going through the process, as the earth raises in its vibrations, all of the living species on earth has to raise in their vibration as well to exist here. Those who are bound to the 3rd density, they won't be able to exist on this planet as the planet is raising in vibration, family. Those individuals, they usually die and then they reincarnate back into a 3rd density realm as this planet is moving. I hope y'all understand that. I hope you get what I just said. If you don't, just ask and we could talk about it. But let me go back to where I was at. Okay, now. So it goes on to say the physical abode is referred to as the lowest abode because the nutational rate of its constituent atoms and quanta has the lowest frequency of the 7 abodes. So guys, we're in a material realm and it's vibrating at the lowest rate of the other nutational rates. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. Now this planet Patanun or Earth, and the stars. Let's see. This planet Patanun, the stars and the light you see are all of this lowest nutational rate. Okay. Each of the 7 abodes of existence consists of atoms and quanta. Hold on for a second, family. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry for that. So let's see. Therefore, there are 7 nutational rates, 1 for each abode of existence. They who rule for 6,000 years, or 6 ether beings, don't have any scientific instrument on this physical or material abode which can detect or measure the presence of the 3 higher abodes, which is 7, 8, nor 9 ethers. Guys, they're talking about, or the master's talking about the realm of NoopooH, this higher abode here. Hold on for a second. Let me go back. So he's talking about this higher abode, guys, that you can see. So they can detect the lower rounds, but they can't detect the higher rounds because they're not in tune, with the higher abodes like we are. Says they vibrate, the higher abodes, that is, they vibrate much faster and at a higher rate. They will destroy them. These are more refined, more divine abodes of existence. Now, Nawapians, you Nagato vibrate on all 9 ether abodes at the same time as atoms and energy of 1 nutational rate. So, guys, we're connected to all of those abodes. Okay? So, how is that? Your physical body is connected to this material abode, right? So, let's keep that in mind. But keep in mind, you also have a spiritual body. And your spiritual body is made of different dimensional energies or different nutational rates. Keep that in mind. We're going to go into that. So let's see. That is each race, those being a root race, the oldest and fastest to vibrate is the Nagato, followed by the many sub-races and the last root race, which is the Caucasian, right? They're the slowest. They vibrate at 6 ether. Mongolians up to 7 ether. While the originators, the Nagato, cover all vibrations as the creator of all others, from themselves up to 9 ether, right? So we vibrate on all of the different abodes. So the problem is, though, being humans, we're stuck on this abode. Why? Because we lost our spiritual knowledge and insight. This is the purpose of what we're teaching, Wu-Sabat, so that we can become knowledgeable again about the other realms. That's the point of what we're doing here. So let's keep going. Where am I at? Let's see. So he says, you must drop your vibrating level down to theirs for them to come in and use your physical body on this abode, and you travel to higher abodes to enact their isfoot. So the master is talking about how the disagreeable ones, these lower spirit forces, are binding us to this abode. This is where our people were constantly being possessed by these lower forces. And these lower forces are keeping us bound to this realm. And this is the whole point of Western culture. The Caucasian, his whole culture is about keeping you desiring this realm. That's what capitalism is all about. Becoming a consumer, right? Capitalism is about making money so that you can do what? Buy stuff. Buy things you don't need. You just become a consumer. How many pairs of shoes you have in your closet? How many pairs of pants you have in your closet? How many dresses? How many TVs you have in your house? How many cell phones you purchased in your life? If you analyze, how you live, you realize all we do is constantly consume, and over an abundance of stuff. And by living a lifestyle like that, it attaches you to this realm. And that's why you're cut off from the spiritual realm, because we're constantly getting stuff. And that kind of thinking, it lowers your vibratory thought process, and it disconnects you from being in tune with the other realms. And this is how you become a slave to the material realm. That's the trick. That's the trap. So let's see where we at now. All right. He talks about here, these intelligent non-ether soul forces, being Etherians, exist on all 9 abodes, and the bodies of the persons who function on any given abode are composed of atoms. Okay, guys, this is a very important point right here. All the different abodes have material. How can I say this? They have material. They're made of atoms. The higher abodes, it's just not. They're just vibrating at a very higher density than this lower rate realm that we're on here. Okay, so that's important to understand the difference when you're going into the higher realms, and we're gonna touch on that a little bit, moving into the higher abodes. But they compose of atoms, and that's respective of the nutational rate. So being that it may be a high nutational rate in the higher realms, they're still made of atomic or made of elemental forces. Okay, so on those realms, the beings that exist on those higher realms, they're physical to their realm. To us, they would be spiritual. On their realm, they're material though. So I hope you guys, get that. So like I said, when we go back to the smack circle, as you move up into the realms, each realm is physical or material to that realm. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It's made of stuff. It's just vibrating at a very high density, high rate of vibration than the realm that we're on. So it says here, Pa Nathar Amun Nub Reak Patah is a Nathar in flesh, an incarnation into flesh to save you, to raise your vibration rates higher. So this is why the master teacher exists. He exists for the sole purpose of teaching us how to raise our vibrations so that we can become in tune with these higher realms and not be bound to this realm which is happening to our people because of what? Our people's spiritual ignorance. Because let's go back here to the Doctor Strange, right? I repeat, everybody on earth, they're in tune with their physical body. You look in the mirror, you see yourself. You bathe yourself, you brush your teeth, you clothe yourself. So we know everything about our physical body. But what do we know about the spiritual body? People are totally ignorant to their spiritual self. And so they do nothing to cater to your spiritual self. And if you do nothing to cater to your spiritual self, your spirit suffers. Not to mention, us as Nagata, we have a soul force. So if you don't understand anything about your spiritual nature, it disconnects you from your soul force. What is that? We're going to get into that. So let's go back. Okay. So now here in the same book, the master teacher, again, this is the smack circle. So the master is showing you the higher abodes, right, that he's talking about. Those lower forces, they can't connect to those higher abodes. This is the realm of NoopooH. The higher abodes, they connect to the lower abodes. Okay? So keep that in mind. Let's see. So it says here, yet Nawapians, as taught by Wu Nawap, all interpenetrated and coexisting, all atoms, all cells, regardless of the variant nutational rates. What he's saying here is that, okay, guys, we're connected to all of those different nutational rates, right? When you look at your physical body and your spiritual body, right? is in tune. Your spirit body is in tune with the higher rates. Your physical body is in tune with the material realm, but your spiritual body is in tune with the higher realms. But the problem, this is why we're not in tune with the higher realms, because we're not in tune with our spiritual self. And the reason why you're not in tune with your spiritual self, why? Because we're vibrating at a low density. And like I said, Caucasian culture, Western culture, capitalism keeps your mind focused on this realm. You got to go to work. You got to, you got to get your kids ready for school. You got to, go shopping. You need a new car. You need new glasses, or you got to go buy new sofas, or you want to get this show, or you want to go to the Super Bowl, or it's always something to do with some person, some place, and something. And we're bounded to that thinking. We're bounded by persons, places, or things. And we give no time or no thought to tap in or communicate with the higher levels of existence. By doing that, you cut yourself off. By doing that, you cut yourself off. Okay. So now let's see. Yet know this, Nuwapians. What happens all around you is also happening inside you. The atmosphere and its many changes are your warnings of change. Yet lack of your own willpower to reject his system to serve. So because we lack the willpower to reject their world, their capitalism, their consumerism, that's why we're cut off from the other realms. That's why it takes discipline. This is one of the reasons why the master keeps saying, give them back everything. Create your own system. Create your own community. That way, if you set up your own system, you can create the conditions and the cultural lifestyle that's suitable for our nature. Because our culture will be based on harmony. It'll be based on doing things that connects us to the higher realms. In Western culture, they disregard that reality. So as long as we are bound in this system, how can we resurrect? How can we raise up being bound to their frequencies? The TV it keeps you on a low vibration. The music, the radio keeps you on a low vibration. Everything they do keeping you low. Question, what must we do to be strong, developing our spiritual selves when circumstances like family, friends are in your circle and won't cooperate towards growth? That's the challenge, right? That's a huge challenge. I go over that in our principles. So let's go back to our principles. Let's see. Says our purpose is liberation from adverse forces. This is what we're talking about, how to liberate ourselves from these adverse forces. Point number 1, you must take action each and every day to free yourself of 60 spirits inside and out. So we have those spirit forces inside of us, which is our bad habits. And you got the spirit forces outside you. Who is the spirit forces outside you? Your family, your friends. Can even be your children, guys. Your loves, your desires, your passions. Because we desire things in this society. These are the lower essence of things. It's bounding us to this dimension. This is why, guys, this is why the master teacher what had set up the different communities. He set up the communities so that we can break away from their realm. Because it bounds us here. That's the challenge. That's right, Hapsha said. But this and it's hard. Don't listen, man. It's hard. I'm not saying this is easy because we're dealing with all kinds of adversities. But the key is willpower, right? The key is willpower. This is why it's so important for us to be around like minds. That's the first step to overcoming this, right? we lack the willpower to reject their system, right? That what will help you is being around like minds. Those who think like this. Is why you guys come to the class. This is why I say, let's go back to another principle. Let me see. This is one of the reasons why I say this principle. Where is it at? Let's go back to our principles. This is one of the goals. It says here, this is goal number 1, to raise yourself. It says you must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skills. The reason why I say studying the doctrine is like medicine, because it keeps your mind thinking about this information. It keeps your mind in an elevated state. How to make contact, how to develop yourself spiritually. What did I learn in this book? What I learned in that book? You want to keep your mind in tune, because remember, their world is designed to keep you in tune with them. Why do you think they run commercials all day, everywhere? And the minute you go outside your house, what do you see? Billboards for everything. You see McDonald's signs, you see Burger King signs, you see Chuck E. Cheese signs, you see Walmart, you see their world. They're constantly advertising to keep your mind on them. Constantly. They don't ever give your mind a break. These cell phones, they got commercials for days on the cell phones, right? When you go on Google or you go on YouTube, they're constantly promoting their stuff in your mind. And the only way to fight that is you gotta do it the same thing they're doing to you. You gotta put 9 ether thoughts in your mind all day, every day, the same way they're trying to put 6 ether thoughts in your mind all day, every day. Why do you think McDonald's keep making hamburger commercials, family? They don't ever stop making hamburger commercials. They're constantly gonna program each generation to eat hamburgers. This is what we're up against. So if they're not going to stop, should you stop? You got to program yourself, because they're trying to program you. Look what we do to our children. What's going to happen at the end of this month? Halloween, right? And what we're going to do to our children? Feed them poison. And we do it with a smile. And that's how they brainwashed us. They brainwashed us to have bad habits, and we're happy with the bad habits. And so now we glorified ourselves, and we make videos being happy about smoking weed, right? We make videos of women shaking their booty. We glorify bad behavior. We make movies glorifying it. That's how they spellbind us. Because when they do it, they show everyone is excited. They're at the party. They're in the club, getting it on. They're smoking. They're drinking. And all the while, they're all being possessed. And they make it seem so cool. They make it seem so fun. They make it seem so pleasurable. And so guess what? We're hooked. And they got us hooked. That's how it works. So how do you fight that? You fight that by you have to program yourself. You got to do to yourself what they're doing to you. You got to flood your mind and your thoughts with the right knowledge constantly, because they're constantly flooding your mind with wrong information, and they're doing it to our children. And this is why this battle is a serious battle. It requires a spiritual master to comprehend all of these things. How do you think I know this? I only know this because the master teacher embedded this in our brain. And if anyone who studies our doctrine consistently, you'll realize what's going on. It's no joke. I know it's no joke, man, what we're up against. That's why we need each other, family. We need each other. We have to support one another. Like minds must support one another by talking to each other, being our own support groups for one another to help keep us grounded. Because, your family, your friends will pull you back into their realm. And remember, everyone has a magnetic attraction. So you're magnetically pulled to a lot of things. And those lower forces, they feed off of that. The lower forces, they put thoughts in your mind. Get that ice cream. watch that movie, go to this place, go to that place, go to that club. They put thoughts in our mind. Drink that thing you shouldn't drink. Smoke that thing you shouldn't smoke. We in Islam, when we was in the school of Islam, they called it khanas, the whisper thoughts into the hearts and mind. These are the jinn. These are the lower forces. They put the thoughts in your mind. And when you get the thought, then what happens? Then you physically go do it, because the mind controls the body. So as long as you allow someone else to dictate their thoughts to you, they're controlling your body. And that's called programming, brainwashing. So we're at war. It's a war. We're fighting. This is a battle. Guys, why do you think I go over the principles every single week as a program to get the thoughts, get these concepts constantly in your mind? That's why I do it. So don't skip it. Don't skip that section, because you need that reinforcement. We constantly have to do reinforcement. We have to do our own commercials, perpetual reinforcing Wu-Sabat, reinforcing the non-mind principles constantly. This is the only way you can fight these lower forces. That's programming us to think like them. So let's go back. Let's see where we at. So let me move over here. This is another actual fact. This is, what's this, page 4? This is the actual facts 109 genetic kiss, right? Very powerful book, family, to take the time to study this book. Very powerful. Says here, have you ever seen an intoxicated person walk and it appears as if something is pushing them? Well, something is. There are forces that are able to manipulate the person's etheric cord, because while in this state of intoxication, the alcohol makes the blood thinner. Guys, so now he's talking about spirit forces are able to influence your body, because once you get intoxicated, you lose your mind. Okay? And they take over your body. He goes on to say these forces are trying to make him fall, make that drunk person, when you're drunk, try to make you fall. You always see drunk people always stumbling around, right? So that those spirit forces or beings on a lower level can enter inside his body and take it over for whatever amount of time they are able. Guys, there's a movie you guys got to check out. It's called I, Thomas. Let me see. This movie right here called Odd Thomas. I'm sorry, I'm saying I, Thomas. Is Odd Thomas. Let me see. Very good movie, because this whole movie is this guy, this character. His third eye is open. He can actually see into the spirit realm. He sees into the plane of force in the spiritual plane, and so he's able to see lower forces, demons, and he literally sees how demons possess people. And the whole movie is about that. Let me see. Does it show anything in here? It's called Odd Thomas. Very good movie. Guys, check it out. Because the whole movie is about spirit being possession and how it works. And how lower forces, it shows how lower forces get inside a person and controls you. You know, so the whole movie is about that. I don't. I was trying to see if I could see a scene where it's showing it obvious, where he's seeing spirits. Well, this is a scene where he sees spirits in the mall. People walking around and they don't notice it. He sees it though. I guess this is a Spanish version of it, so it's not in English. So he's looking, so he's in the mall, right? He's looking. People are walking around normal. And he sees it. That's a spirit force he's looking at. See the spirits? Now, people, we're walking in around the mall. No one sees these spirit forces. He sees it, though. And these spirits, this is what's possessing our people, family. But because you're not in tune spiritually, you don't see what's going on. These spirits are getting in us. Guys, check this movie out. It's a really good movie of showing how spirit forces possess people without you knowing it. And it's called Odd Thomas. You know, and so it's a very powerful film that goes into the subject matter. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm gonna let's go back to the actual facts. So it says these forces are trying to make him fall. He's talking about the drunk person the master is trying to make him fall so that those spirit forces or beings on a lower level can enter inside his body and take it over for whatever amount of time they're able, right? The only problem is they need a way to get in the body. Have you ever noticed that an alcoholic has scars on their bodies? The goal of the spirit force that control his etheric cord is to make him fall to the ground and make him break his skin, thus creating an opening to the body and a doorway for these 6 ether spirit forces from lower or subplanes to possess the person whose conscious mind is easily suppressed in this intoxicated state, right? Because when you're drunk, your conscious mind shuts down, family. The man's subconscious mind takes over, allowing these sub-level beings to take over through the subconscious mind. This is why once the possession is over, they usually are unaware of what has happened to them. So guys, this is why it's so important to raise your vibration. While you're doing that, you can become in tune with your subconscious mind. Once you're in tune with your subconscious mind, then you can block lower forces from this happening to you. This is why they don't teach you nothing about spiritual development in this society, so that it opens you up to spirit being possession, because you'll never be in tune or aware when you're being possessed. This is the purpose of Wu-Sabat. This is why the master teaches here to educate you how to block, how to protect yourself. This is why we put out this book right here, The Science of Healing. I've talked about this before. You have 3 levels of mind: the normal level of consciousness, your subconscious level, and your superconscious level. And in this particular scroll, this is the Science of Healing book. It's explaining how to link up all of your layers of your mind. What one needs to do, so that those layers aren't separated the way it is now. Our minds are fractured. And so this happens when you go to sleep. What happens when you go to sleep? When you go to sleep, your conscious mind shuts down, your subconscious boots up. So when you're in a dream world, that's your subconscious at work. Your subconscious is doing what it's doing in the dream realm. And we talked about this before, lucid dreaming. What is that? Lucid dreaming is when you're able to move your conscious in harmony with the subconscious. And so you become lucid or aware in the dream realm. We have that ability. Many people know how to do that. Some people are naturally born being in tune with their dream, but you can learn and develop yourself to become in tune. But as long as one remains ignorant, this is what opens us up to spirit being possession. Why do you think we have nightmares, family? When you're having a nightmare, that's a lower force taking over your mind, creating nightmares for you. And you get anxiety and you start sweating in your dreams. And they feed off of that emotional force. They feed on us. These lower forces, because we exert energy, emotions, your soul force. These forces feed off our souls. Yeah, daydreaming. Same thing. Now, the key, when what's interesting with daydreaming is, usually a person is attuned, aware when they're daydreaming. You can be more aware or lucid when you're daydreaming. But the goal is to always be in tune, aware when you're in those states. That's the key, family. Because this is how we're getting possessed. Because we're not in tune, we're not aware of these different states of consciousness. So now let's see. So he goes on to say, he says, that's just another reason why Nuwapians, right, Sabians don't become drunk, because you open yourself up to be used by forces from lower realms. Don't eat red meat, because the blood and the rotten flesh attracts disembodied, disagreeable, or sub-level beings to be attracted to your body. Just wait around for an opportunity to get inside your body and do with you what they will. There is a science behind these forces. It is not spookism. They are facts, and we are ontologists. Another example of the 30 other yous, he's talking about, guys, we're connected to our ancestors, right? We talked about this before. 4 generations of spirit forces are in tune with us, of your ancestry. So if you have negative ancestors, they're the ones who give us our bad addictions. Our negative ancestors, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, right? They have access to us spiritually. And all your sexual partners, right? All the sexual partners, you take on their spirit forces. That's why in our culture, sex is sacred. You don't go around sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, because you're taking on all these forces. You do it because you're not aware spiritually. You're not in tune that this is happening to you. And you're having mood swings. You don't know why you're having mood swings. You get upset. You don't know why you're getting upset. You get sick, and you don't even know why you're getting sick, because of these lower forces. That's right. We better be cord cutting. Okay, so all right. So Delta said, my daydreaming ends up being seemingly telepathic because I'll daydream about something, and then the person I daydream about appears soon after. We have telepathic powers. We can make things happen, or we can see an event that's about to happen. We have those abilities. We just haven't learned how to hone in that skill set. But that's a skill set. One has to raise your vibration to become in harmony with your spiritual self, and then you'll be in tune with so many other how can I say, we can become more aware of reality than what we are. That's our goal, right? So now he goes on to say, let's see. So he's talking about the your different personalities from your ancestors, right? Your 30 spirits of your ancestors. And it says they actually hear voices and don't know where they are coming from, and no one else can hear them because they are from within, right? People who say they hear voices, those are spirits, families that you're connected to. And you're hearing voices. People talk about, you usually hear it with bad people. The guy he murdered 30 people because he heard a spirit telling him that. Those are demons. Research serial killers, guys. Research serial killers. Majority of serial killers tell you that. That's why they kill. Because they said a spirit force told them. They said a voice told them to do this. Look it up. Those are lower forces. That's what that movie with Denzel Washington, right? What's that movie called? I think Fallen, that Denzel Washington was in. That was what the movie was about. How people are being possessed by lower force, and that spirit, get them to kill. Those are ancestors, Nelson. If you're hearing them, the key is to learn to tune in to your family on the other side, but you have to raise your vibration. Let's keep going. So it says, so they actually hear voices and don't know where they are coming from, and no one else can hear them because they are from within, right? Some people call them whisperers. They are the voices of your ancestors. Some people are still connected to them, and it was something we as people used to have a natural part of our culture. However, since so much of our culture and way of life is lost or is removed from us, so is the connection to our ancestors and descendants who wait for our call to help us, but we do not even know how to reconnect with them. You see that, family? Some are agreeable and helpful, and some are harmful. You may have a relative who was evil and selfish and may pop up and make you do something mean because you listen to that thought as your own when you should have rejected it. There have been times when a thought crossed your mind and you are like, where did that thought come from? I was not thinking anything like that. This is because it wasn't your thought, and you recognized it and rejected it consciously. Now you know what, or better, who that thought is not. It's not you. It was one of your relatives. So again, you have to take control of the 30 others so they do not control you. Again, it is so important to know who you are mixing your genes with, because once you take on their DNA, you take on all else that comes with them, right? When you have sexual partners, you taking their spirits into you. The DNA can change you into whatever and whoever. This is why people will say you begin to look like your boyfriend or girlfriend or act like them. Guys, you take on this guy. I repeat, this is why in our culture, sex was sacred. In Western culture, you can have sex with anyone, with anything. And they do that so that you could be possessed. Guys, this is why. Y'all know that why the so-called slave master raped our parents. They raped the men and the women to put their forces in us, their spirits in us. This is one of the reasons why our people don't want to let go of the European and their systems, because we're attached to them. Their spirits are in us. And you got to be strong to overcome his desires. You got to overcome going to Disney World. You got to overcome taking a cruise. You got to overcome. I'm not saying, guys, I'm not saying not to do those things. What I'm saying is we're literally possessed by his world. And you have to know the difference. Be in the world, not of the world. Our goal is to create our own stuff, not their stuff, to be dependent on them for us to create our stuff. That's the goal. Let's see. So here's the deal, family. So the 9 principles of existence, these are the essence of yourself, right? You have a spirit, okay? You have a spirit energy, spirit body. You have what we call the khu. Your spirit is your ka, okay? Then you have what it's called your hu. You have what we call a mental body. That's another essence of yourself. That's another energy essence of yourself, the mental body. You have the khatat, which is your physical body. You have your ba, your soul force. Your soul, that's another spiritual essence of it. Your soul force is your emotional force. Your soul force is what actually connects you to nature. It's what allows you to feel compassion. That's our soul force. The Mukasu, the Caucasians, they have a spirit force, but they don't have the soul force. They have no connection to nature. And that's why their cultures are totally disconnected to nature. They're not in tune with it. And when you live their culture, you lose your soul force. You lose your connection to nature. And that's why we're a ball of chaos, guys. We're a ball. They just caught some brother the other day for being a serial killer, black man, serial killer. This is what we're doing now. You can clearly see he has no soul, totally possessed by lower forces. This is us. What do you think all this black on black crime is all about? We're crazy now. Go look what we did in the war in Liberia in the 1990s. They had this guy, this brother. They called him butt naked. Butt naked. He was going around butt naked on the battlefield, killing people, and then it was eating their body parts, eating their hearts. His name was Butt Naked. Look him up in Liberia. He's a demon possessed. We've lost our soul. You know, King David in the Bible, the book of Psalms, lost my soul, and he prayed to the Creator to have his soul restored. You can restore your soul, but you have to give up the ways of the lower forces. You have to stop listening to these lower forces telling you to do all of these adverse things. And if you can't overcome them, then you're going to continue to be a demon, and it bounds you to this realm. Yeah, he was African, butt naked, from Liberia. Just look what they did in the war in Rwanda. Disgusting things we did to our own people. Possess spirit forces, guys. So you have your soul force, you have your chabut, your plasmic you. That's your aura. That's your chabut is your aura. You have your ach. That's your higher self, your oversoul, your etheric self. That's the higher essence of you. You have your hati. That's your emotional center, like your spiritual heart. When you feel like, when when you feel your chest and you have these emotionals like fear or anxiety or passions or loves or wants, you feel it in the heart center. Okay, it's called the hati. And you have the ibub, your senses. That's another part of your senses is, your normal senses that you have. That's another energy essence of yourself. And then you have sahum. That's your the sahum is the life force itself. That's another energy essence of yourself. We used to be in tune with all of these essence of ourselves. So like I said, now when you go back to the Doctor Strange movie, right? Let's go back to where was the hold on. So when you go back to the Doctor Strange, right? So you see the spirit body. Now, what they don't show you, though, we have different layers to our spiritual self. There's layers to it. and different, and to different how can I say, we have different vibratory energies. I don't I don't know if they ever showed anything like that, layers even to your spiritual self. That's where you get your soul force, right? You have your mental body and you have your spirit body. Those are three different layers: your spirit body, your soul body, your soul force, and your mental body. Okay, when they all three come together, it creates your your etheric body. So there's layers. So you have to learn to be in tune with all of those things. But I repeat, Western culture disconnects you from all of this. So we're walking around with your physical body and you're not in tune that you have all of these essence to yourself. And because you're not in tune, guess what? You never develop your spiritual self. So what happens? What? When you physically die, because we don't develop our spiritual self, you're not connected to your soul force. You need your soul force in order to go into the higher realms. And that's how we lose our soul. You literally sell your soul to what we call to the devil's world because you never did anything to develop yourself spiritually. And this is why people are mainly reincarnating back to this realm. Because remember, capitalism make you desire and lust for the things of this realm. So you remain spiritually dead. That's the goal. That's the trap that they have for us here. So let's go. Let's see. So it says, what are the etheric forces? This is this book is The Science of Creation. The master teacher put out back in, this part came out in 1996, I think. The Science of Creation book. What page? 19, just so you can see the front cover of it. Hold on, guys. My system froze. All right. Let's see. So this is another, the master teacher goes into the different realms. So you have the material plane. That's where we are on a material plane. The next realm is the plane of force. They're all connected. They're interwoven to each other. These are energies are connected, right? Then you have the spiritual plane interwoven. Then you have the mental plane. Then you have the plane of divine truth, the plane of divine reality, and the bosom of the creative force, what we call Pa'ut. All right. So now, let's see. Western scientists limit the physical plane to just three substances: solids, liquids, and gases. However, there are many more forms or states of being within the physical plane than just the three mentioned. It is obvious that the higher forms of matter are unknown or unfeasible to Western science, right? In this culture, they don't tell you about the higher realms of existence. You know, those, first of all, the ones who know are a part of the secret societies, and they definitely not going to tell you anything because they know spiritual knowledge is ruling power. Those who have spiritual knowledge are the ones who are able to rule because they understand the different forces. What do you think chemistry is all about? Chemistry is where they're tapping into these forces. This is what quantum mechanics is all about. How do you think you have a cell phone? Because of quantum mechanics. How do you think you have a TV? Quantum mechanics. How do you think you have a radio? All of these are dealing with subatomic particles. Understanding the power of the electron. That's how you have electric lights. Once they was able to understand the electron, they was able to create electric lights. This is knowledge we used to know as a people, and we've lost our minds. Science is the first step towards, going into these higher realms. Now, European science, they cut off. They don't acknowledge the higher spiritual realms because they don't have any equipment to detect them, right? So they don't acknowledge it. The secret societies do, right? The secret government knows all about this stuff, but the current scientists are ignorant to it. That's why they're debating whether or not the origin of the mind is the origin of the mind, and consciousness a product of the brain, or did consciousness exist, before the brain? They keep talking about it. They're having a hard time with that question. Your current scientists. And that's because they're not spiritually inclined. They're cut off spiritually. And keep in mind, they don't have a soul force. So their spiritual awareness is very limited, the Caucasian. You see spiritual awareness. We talked about this before. You see it with the Hindus, right? They have their spiritual awareness. They're in tune with prana. That's the spirit energy. The Chinese call it chi. The Chinese are in tune with it. And we as Africans, as Nagado, melanated people, we call it Sachem. We are in tune with this. We just lost our spiritual knowledge. All right, so let's see. So now we're talking about ether, the etheric forces. What are the etheric forces? The forces of degrees of the physical that are linked with the next plane, the plane of force, are the etheric forces, which incidentally includes the fourth subplane of the physical matter, which is ultra gaseous matter. Okay, guys, so now to give you an idea what the master is talking about here, I have a diagram breaking that down. No, you know what? Let me read from here. What are planes? Let's do that first. The highest and lowest form that has been detected is that of vibration. Everything is vibration, which manifests itself as different moods and schemes, right? The expression of a vibration is called a mood. Each mood acts and reacts continuously, carrying out the life process. These moods make up what is known as to us as planes. Planes are moods and schemes of vibration existing in very unique and unified forms. Moods of vibration may be likened to the varying degrees of temperature, such as extremely low. The natural mood of vibration ranges from very high and fast to very low and slow. There are 7 planes. The lowest and slowest is a material plane, while the fastest and highest is a plane where one is in total union with Papa. We say he said El Kalum. That's an old terminology. When you're in tune with Papa, that's a creative force. It's nature itself. We have the ability to be in total connect or in harmony with nature. Okay? That's our spiritual potential. Like I always say, we're in tune with Netflix now, and Chuck E. Cheese and whatever else that's going on in our brain. But we used to be in tune with nature. That's how we was able to build those magnificent temples in ancient Egypt and Nubia. We had a very advanced high culture. And we've lost all of this knowledge because we lost our spiritual awareness, and we became disconnected from nature. So this is the point of all of these teachings, to reconnect us. So let's see. Let's go ahead. So now we're talking about the planes. So when we're dealing with the planes, guys, remember that. So let's go back. to the Doctor Strange, right? So keep in mind, his spirit body is vibrating on a different plane. So now where he is right now, that's the plane of force. That the plane of force and the physical plane where we are now, they're interconnected. Your spirit body is already automatically connected to the plane of force. We're just consciously not in tune with it. And that's the whole point of our teachings, is to teach you how to become in tune with the plane of force. Guys, you must learn to become in tune with the plane of force. You must learn to become in tune with the plane of force. Once you learn this, then you can separate your body the same way you see in this Doctor Strange, right? Now the master is doing it for him. He eventually learns how to do it himself. How to go in and out of his own body. We have that ability. We have that ability. But you have to develop, you have to become in tune with your own body's vibrations. You do that through the prayers. You do that through chanting. You do it through meditation. You have to do all of these things. You do this through learning our language, the Lahaj. Our language is based on tones, and you start enunciating certain tones, and your body, it will increase the vibration of your body. Because keep in mind, everything we're doing here in European culture is keeping our vibration low, including me speaking English to you. English language keeps our vibration very low. Remember that, right? So let's keep going. Planes are moods and schemes of vibration, exist in very unique and unified forms. Moods of vibrations may be likened to the varying degrees of temperature, right? So we talked about that. So let's keep going. The most common mistake is imagining planes as layers of strata or fine matter lying one above the other in space. This is incorrect. Planes are distinct and intricate moods of vibration woven into one another so uniquely that one cannot determine where one plane begins and the other ends. Nothing in creation rests. Everything you hear, taste, or feel vibrates. Keep in mind that the 7 heavens or planes have 7 subplanes, and each of these subplanes have its own 7 subdivisions, right? I don't want to confuse you with that, but remember, we talked about that earlier. Each subplane has its own nutational rate, its own vibratory force, and we're in tune with all of them. So when we go back to the smack circle, you're in tune with all these different dimensions. We're just not in tune, meaning we have the ability to be in tune, but we're not. Once you learn to be in tune with these realms, then you can communicate with the masters, with the Natharu. They're waiting. That's the only reason why the master teacher came here, to teach you how to reconnect with the masters. These are the beings that they control the whole universe, family. And you have the ability to contact them. But you have to correct your vibration, or they won't communicate with you. Because they look at the humans as just, animal kind, lower animals. And why would they talk to you? The same way you have no interest in talking to ants. You have no point in talking to ants. Why would you sit down and try to talk to ants? There's no point. There's no connection. And that's how they look at us in the conditions we're in. So you have to raise your consciousness. You have to raise yourself up so that you can communicate with them. And they will communicate with you once you raise yourself up. That's why the master teacher came. That's the sole purpose of the master teacher, is to re-educate you spiritually how to reconnect with the masters. This is the purpose. This is our purpose. It goes on to say the material plane is the plane upon which human beings dwell, right? This plane is partly made of solids, liquids, and gases. Now you may feel that everything that exists only on this plane, physical plane, meaning that nothing extra exists outside of this plane. Unfortunately, you are wrong. And if you think that the answers to all puzzling occurrences and strange phenomena are to be found in this world, then you are mistaken. Contrary to what you may imagine, there is still much yet to be discovered on this plane. Western scientists limit the physical plane to just three substances: solids, liquids, and gases. However, there are many more forms or states of being within the physical plane than just the three mentioned. It is obvious that the higher forms of matter are unknown or unfeasible to Western science. This fourth classification is called ultra gaseous matter, right? So once you go from solid, you go to liquid, and then you go to gas. The next level of vibration is called ultra gaseous matter, family. That's tapping into your aura, okay? It is also known that beyond this fourth classification or subplane of matter, there are still three higher and more intricate subplanes of which the scientific speculators of the Western world have no idea. The physical plane, the lowest of all planes, has the least and slowest speed of vibration. The more one becomes involved with the physical aspects of life, the less chances are for elevation from this bottommost state of existence, where all is governed by low desires. If humans are to achieve this raising or elevation, you must struggle with sincerity, facts, faith, and discipline. The lower division of the physical is made of solids, liquids, and gases, which are able to be detected by your five most physical senses, which are really one. Okay, so it goes into the different senses, and we have higher senses, right? Telepathy, intuition, psychometry, and clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is when you're able to see into those other dimensions, like the other movie I just showed you, Odd Thomas, where he's able to see into the plane of force, and you're able to see into the spiritual plane when you raise your vibration, right? What are the etheric forces? The forces or degrees of the physical that are linked with the next plane, the plane of force, are the etheric forces, which incidentally include the fourth subplane of the physical matter, ultra gaseous matter. And the remaining forces are life force, light, and mental. These are merely one subdivision of the 7 subdivisions of the first material or physical plane. Now, the etheric division of the physical plane is composed of the same elements as the lower division, but vibrates at higher frequency. Therefore, when totally relating to the physical state, one is unable to detect them with the physical senses, right? So what he's saying is that when you go into the higher vibratory etheric realms, they have the same elements that exist on those realms. They're just vibrating at a higher rate. Okay, so keep that in mind. Because atoms exist up there. Atomic particles, they exist in the higher realms. It's just vibrate at a higher rate. Very few are aware, and even a smaller group are able to achieve access to the ethereal level of their senses. In order to detect these planes, each of these senses, like the planes or heavens, have subdegrees of detection. You can conclusively say that one can elevate his way of discovering the presence of the senses by correspondence to each plane, as well as subplane. If one cannot, then one would not even be aware that he has elevated. What the master is saying is you have the ability to tap into it. You can connect to those subplanes. So, keep that in mind. Let's see. Where we at? Something else I want to go into. All right, this is another book that deals with this. This is This right here is called The Wise Man. Let's say this is page 49. This is The Wise Man. This book came out in 1995. Just so you guys could see it. Came out in 1995, called The Wise Man. Okay. Very powerful book, you know, dealing with this subject matter. And connected. Why? First of all, why are we talking about this? Because the master teacher came here to teach us how to raise up so we can exist on higher, you know, higher states of consciousness. We're able to exist on other realms, in other realms, like in planets. Like, so the master has taught us, you know, our origin spiritually comes from a planet, you know, called Risk. All right, so he talks about it, and he's written a whole book on it, The Man from the Planet Risk. In fact, I want to pull that up too. Let's see. I had all these books up, but my system crashed on me. So everything shut down. So I got to reopen everything up. And now I have to find the book again. And then open it up. Here we go. All right. So this one is called The Man from the Planet Risk. You know, we talked about this numerous of times before. So I'm going back to The Wise Man, then I'm going to switch over to The Man from the Planet Risk. Okay. It says here, this also marked the beginning of my awareness of who I was and what my job was to be. This is the master talking about himself. This was also the star that appeared on Tuesday, June 26, 1945. He's talking about there was a comet called Bennett that was sighted in his birth. Oh, no, that was 1970. But let me keep going. At my birth in 1945, like the birth of Yeshua in 7 AD, was marked by the appearance of a star. I am an extraterrestrial being from another galaxy called Ilium. We have 19 galaxies. I am from the 8th planet Risk of the 19th galaxy, where there are also 19 livable planets. Riskians are human in appearance, and our complexion ranges from olive tone to dark reddish brown. We are 7 to 9 feet tall, guys. They're 7 to 9 feet tall that live on that planet. Okay. This planet Risk has 3 continents. One that the native Riskians inhabit called Kumusta, meaning chosen black land. Another is called Zarentu, meaning visitable. And the other continent called Dar Noria, meaning the dwelling of light. So he gives the master teacher is talking about, you know, this is where his origins from, and we can go to this planet, but here's the key: in order for us to go to Risk, okay, and he's giving us a description of what the constellation, the solar system that his planet is, because this planet is right here in the middle of these 2 suns. The solar system that this planet is in has 3 suns, guys, right? And so Risk is right here in the very middle. So, you know, the right next to the suns is something else. You know, us being non-ether beings, we come from the sun. We come from the sun. So we don't have no problem. The reason why black people have a problem with the sun is because your melanin is not charged, it's not developed. And we've been living Western culture so much, so we're not even used to the sun no more. And we have to readapt to sun environments. But we have to raise our vibration. That's the other issue too. But now we have the ability to go to this planet. But here's the thing. So question, this is the Man from the Planet Risk book. Could people from Earth live on the planet Risk? Answer, yes, but not in the state you're in. You are unworthy. You must first elevate to a certain level, as I have mentioned earlier, to be able to raise your level of vibration. Even then, you still have to be groomed. The closest thing to this experience is where you astral project during your sleep, where you move through different density levels. In that state, your molecules can be sped up and you can transform into a ship. So here, guys, we can exist on Risk, but you have to be in your etheric state. You have to be able to vibrate at this higher state, right? Back to Dr. Strange. So in order to leave this planet and exist on a higher, because keep the planet Risk is operating in a parallel universe to us. It's not in the same universe, right? We learned that. The Master explains that in the Patarak, the dimensional shift. Let's go here. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Let me go here. All right, so here, this is the Patarak, the dimensional shift. It says it links you to your ancestors in a parallel universe and a planet in a different harmonic portal. Yours is called Razakat, Risk, meaning the provider. So Risk is in a parallel universe. So it's operating at a different nutational rate than Earth is, at a higher vibration. So in order to exist in on a planet like that, you have to be able to raise your vibration to exist on a planet like that, right? So that's important for us to understand this. And so the master teacher explains that. He gives a diagram here. That's your physical body sleeping and your spirit body is coming out of it. So your spirit body is also material. Spirit body is made of material. It's made of elements. Okay? And so because the planet Risk is vibrating, the whole planet is vibrating at a higher density than Earth is. So you have to be vibrating at a high density to exist on a planet like that. That's the point. So right here, it's so much I got to cover, and I'm running out of time, unfortunately. But let me I want to show you something else. Let's see. There was a book we put out. I want to find it real quick that touches on this. Because there's so much more, but we just don't have the time. But we'll be back next week. We have more to talk about. But I want to find this book if I can. I think this is it. It's something the master says in here, which is very important to this topic that we're talking about, which is understanding the spiritual you and the spiritual realms, and why it's important to connect with those higher realms, right? The essence of what we've been teaching for years. And so this was a book the master put out also. It was a question and answer book. Dr. York, answers and debates and discussions. This was a book the master teacher back in the late 90s used to go on a computer into chat rooms, and he would have he'd be talking to us in the chat rooms. I was in there quite a few times with him and chatting on a computer. So he used to do that. And so he put out a book on it, on the discussions in the chats. And so that's what this book is. Let's see. And there's something in here he says I thought, is very interesting, but I want to find it. So let's see where it's at. All right, so here was a question, interesting question that was asked to the master. It says, information that you are teaching now, why didn't you teach this back in 1970 when you first started? It seems that back then you gave us information and now you are filling in the missing pieces. The master responds. He said, because if I would have started with right knowledge back in 1967, it would have been too deep for the normal Nubian. I had to spoon feed them and gradually raise them from mortality to immortality. And now they are becoming the supreme beings, right? So this is why we can even have this discussion today. It took the master years to get us to this level to even acknowledge the spiritual reality of ourselves and the other realms, and that beings exist on higher dimensional realms. It took the master years to get us to where we're at right now. The books are raising our intellect and allowing our consciousness to think on levels we never thought about. Because like I keep saying, the Mukasa, the Caucasians, keep us vibrating on a very low density. I mean, that's just what they do to us. So the master explained why he, had to teach us the way he was teaching us. But there's something else I want to get into in his book. Let's see. Before we close out. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm almost there. Where are we at? Now I don't know if it's in this book. I don't see it. Wow. Okay. All right. Maybe it's in this other, the next version of it. That one was book number 6. This one is book number 7. This is book 7. Let me see if it's in here. Okay, yeah. This is it. So the master's talking about, let's see, question, will we end up supreme beings again? Answer, that's what the 144,000 is all about. They will be able to leave the physical body and raise up because we will no longer need the physical, guys. See, what you don't understand or what you don't understand is you have grown a fungus on your spirit called your physical body. This is not to say that the way you receive a physical body, because I have taught you in the past, you were created from the black mud of the ground. The physical body is always in want and need of physical things like food and clothing. and caught up in likes and dislikes, love and hate. Desires are what keep you bound to the physical world. You're taking on a soul by way of emotions in this by 7 major centers. He's talking about your energy centers, family, which are called your chakras or seats. Then around your soul, you grew a protector, which is called a body, which consists of matter, protoplasm, organs, etc., which is all fungus that's holding your spirit from escaping to the world that you came from, guys. So the body is holding our spiritual self from escaping the world we came from us going back up to the higher realms. And Sahu, right? And Sabetu, the men originally came from Sahu, the master told us. Females came from Sabetu, and we also came from Risk. Those are high dimensional realms. But our physical body is bounding us here because of our desires. No one can help you conquer your desires but you, family. No one can help you conquer your desires but you, family. No one can help you conquer your desires but you. The master can lead the way, can teach you what you need to know, but only you can do it. Only you can do it. He goes on to say, which is all fungus that's holding your spirit from escaping to the world that you came from. So what you did was you started adding more disease to the body, making the soul sicker and sicker, weaker and weaker. He says Allah knew, we talking about the creative force, knew this, so he showed you a way to drop all of this by learning how to prostrate the body, because at the present time it's ruling, right? Talking about prayer, our system is of prayers, ways to develop yourself spiritually, right? So when the body has to stop and throw itself on the ground, prostrating to the creative force, or when the body has to walk around thinking about the creative force, right? Nature, this is being in tune with nature. We use a law, so I don't want to confuse people, but being in tune with nature, or when I start living for my soul and not for my body. And when you begin to do all of these things, the fungus, which is the body, otherwise known as my body, starts to fall off. The sickness begins to cure itself. Then the body is no longer needed again, and you then become a supreme being. Question: do you read the Bible or do you have your own Bible? Okay, that's not important. There's something else I want to address, and then we'll be done. Okay, so he says here, question. Says Dr. York, will everybody be given this right knowledge, or should I say, will everyone receive the right knowledge that you are teaching? Answer: everyone will be given the knowledge, but everyone won't want to hear the knowledge. The more a person thinks of himself or herself, or the more a person adores and admires himself, the harder it's going to be for them. It's as if a person saying, I like your house so much that I don't want to leave it. Well, the like your house so much that you don't want to leave it, in other words, you're afraid to get outside of your body because you're not familiar with the next world. You're actually out of your body more than you're in it. Guys, that's when you're in the sleep realm. You're not, your body, your spirit separates from you when you go to sleep. You just don't realize it. That's what the master is explaining here. So he goes on to say, let's see. You're out of your body more than you're in it. You're afraid to get out of it totally because you become comfortable inside of it, just like a baby who runs up under its mother and cuddles. Why do you do that? Because it feels secure and protected. In other words, your spirit has ran deeper and deeper into your body. This is all because you have been made to desire the physical and its glitter rather than the spiritual. There are more things out in the world that make you want to go deeper and deeper inside of the body, and you become an individual, and you have the mentality of I am an individual and I don't have to do this or that. I am a man, or I feel this, I want this, I have the right to do this. I. Everybody's problem is they want to be the savior and they don't even know how to save themselves. I am not saying not to help people, but what I am saying is that you need to get your own soul together. Now that is something that each person can do. Over the years, I have written warnings to people that the hourglass is almost empty. I have said there are only 20 years left. There are only 13 years left. There are only 9 years left. And now here we are in the end of 1995, and there will be only 4 years left before the year 2000, guys. And so the master's talking about being ready for the vortex opens. In 2003, we missed it. 2013, we missed it. And 2023 is next year. Who's really developed themselves and know how to go out of body? The master said in him coming out, he's not going backwards, you know. Everyone's supposed to be ready for transformation. All right. With that being said, you know, it was a lot. Take your time. I always tell you guys to definitely listen to these discussions more than once. There was so much more I needed to get, but time permitted, but it's okay. We'll be back next week. We have more to cover, and we will. You know, take your time, study what this discussion was all about. It's extremely important and crucial for our own development, for those who want the right knowledge, for those who want the solution to the problem. If you love this planet, you love being a prisoner trapped down here, okay. If you don't love it, then one will take heed, right? And as we always say, spread the word, family. Spread the word, and much blessings. Until then, we shall be back. Much blessings and much peace.